back. So I just have a few questions to answer today. And let me just go through them first. First thing, if you are in like a marathon block, guys, one thing will be just keep the faith. I know it's like Dave. So you're in a like hard block. So if you're not breaking down with injury or you're not getting uh sick, you're on the right lines. Like running is building up to a big race. It's about nearly being tired, and then you're hoping that your taper will kind of just really freshen you back up. Um, but saying that, then it is always good afterwards to kind of reflect on how you were feeling, even because you can have it where you're like, you know what, I can look back and go, yeah, I was feeling crap at that time, etc. Let me see. So, hello, just going to mute here, guys. Sorry. And if anyone has any questions in the chat here first, I can have them, and then I can get onto the questions, say, in the that we came in. I don't know if Dave or James or Monica, if you have questions.
Yeah, on.
Yeah. Hi, Dave.
Well, yeah. No,
You just muted yourself, Dave.
Hello?
Hi,
um,
Monica. Sorry, I let's answer Dave's first and then you, Monica.
yeah.
What's
Um,
that breaking up there? Yeah, it was just, I think we all had asked about the marathon piece.
Sorry there. Yeah, go on, Dave.
yeah. No, it was just after just doing the training with you last year and this year, I don't feel like I'm as fit as I was last year, if that makes any sense. Like I haven't
Yeah,
missed any training in the last year. I haven't been sick. I haven't been injured. It just feels like everything was a bit easier last year for some reason. I don't know
look, you can
if
have
that makes sense.
yeah, you can totally have it. Like, and again, I think like we're in the depths of September. Like thinking like the marathon's about a month away, so you're in the like blockiest thing. Now, the hard thing is you do have ups and downs. I was the same. Like you'll have years where the training is feeling a bit easier and you're running better, and years where it doesn't. What we can do afterwards is debrief. Maybe you felt like there was more 5 by 7 minutes at zone three versus this year, like kind of more LT work.
Yeah.
And what we'll do is afterwards is like the good thing then is that like you have kind of reference points. Like, you know what, next year we're going to do more of this.
There won't be an next year. I'm not going to do another marathon again anyhow. My
Yeah,
mind,
well, like
I'm,
let's see how this one. I think
yeah,
when you're in your hardest training, like the fact that like the training, you haven't got injured doing the training, you haven't got sick doing the training, that you're just
yeah,
feeling tired. And then I know when you look at the paces, but to be fair, like I've had that often where like your LT pace can really be where your zone three pace can be before. So let's see. Let's keep the faith. We'll taper up for the race, and I think you're going to get a big boost when you do the race as well. I think you've had a lot
okay.
of like hard training, like you've done your long runs with your sessions, like 2 sessions a week.
Yeah,
So I feel like we're just probably in like, do you know, if you look at the adaptation, that we're like into what we nearly call like we'll be looking for a super compensation. We're what we call overreaching. So we're actually training when we're a bit tired, but then that will allow for like a bigger peak up. So what we might just do is like pull back a little bit more than we would have with 2 weeks left,
okay.
and see how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah,
But like,
okay.
I was a bit like, oh crap, initially when we were messaging outside of this, so I was like, oh,
Yeah,
um, like I was like, will we change it? And then I was like, you know what? As you said, you've hit all the training sessions. You haven't got sick. You haven't got injured. It is okay to be very tired at this stage. It's like we're a month out. This is the kind of big block. And I think sometimes then it's doubling down. Can we get a nap? Can we sleep? Can we get a sports massage? Can we like make sure we're getting in our multivitamins? Can we just do all the recovery stuff right? Knowing that like in 2 weeks we're on the downslide into the
yeah,
marathon anyway. And then like, and even then, I wouldn't be expecting you to feel like, oh, I feel class now for the last two. You'll still feel tired, but you'd be
okay.
surprised what the marathon will bring. Even feeling crap coming into it, even feeling tired coming into it. Do you know that way? I wouldn't, even how
Yeah,
you're feeling the week before, I wouldn't let that dictate it. Like I always find you get the old taper tantrums where you're feeling like, it's starting to, it's a bit harder than you expected. So yeah, let's see. It'd be good, interesting anyway, and we can even use that for doing 10Ks or 5Ks or whatever after anyway, Dave.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Brilliant.
Right, thank you. Okay,
Thanks.
thanks.
Hey, Monica, sorry there.
Oh, hi. You may have answered this already. It was just, I think we were all asking about the marathon pace to run, and the predictor.
Yeah, I haven't answered.
With
I'll
a few
ask you.
text messages earlier today.
Yeah,
That's
a
all
lot of
really.
people were
And
saying,
then my feet are just bothering me, so I'm just kind of curious if anyone else had problems with Alpha Flies.
they can, like, and sure, even my foot, because the carbon fiber plate is in there, it can be a bit more stressed through the foot. Like, so, usually it would like the force would absorb down, but it's coming back up into the foot. So there's a lot more like foot kind of issues. So again, at this stage, what I might do is not do as many of the, like, for the next week or so, maybe, next week, like, just reduce how much you're using them, basically. Just go back to kind of your normal shoe, and then maybe go a week without them this week, a week with them for like one workout, a week without them, and then you're into the marathon week. I probably wouldn't go cold turkey going into the marathon because you're using them. But yeah, I'd probably go a week without them, then a week, not the whole week with them. I just mean like one workout or one long run with them, a week easy without them, and then you're into the marathon kind of down week. So just go week on, week off, week on, week off into your taper. Does that make sense on the shoes?
Yeah, that makes sense. I just wasn't sure. I've Asics Metaspeeds and I wore them for my last marathon, and I just was thinking of using them instead.
Yeah, it mightn't be a bad idea, Monica. Or like,
Yeah.
do you know, even for the next couple of like weeks, start using the meta speeds and seeing how the feet respond to that.
Yeah, I think I'll try them for my long run this weekend, because it's also like the top of my foot. Like, so I've got one foot that's kind of got the acute plantar. That's what I think it is on the left. But then the other foot that had the kind of, it was, I would say, level 2 plantar. It's the top of that foot that's, I feel,
Yeah.
it's almost like the shoe feels too tight, so
Yeah,
it's strange
exactly.
when-
Like, shoes can make a big difference. Like, it can make
Yeah.
a big, massive difference. So like, I had another person, like, the Alpha Flies are great, but like, I've had another person who just didn't suit at all. She just had to
Yeah.
get out of them like straight away and go back to her older shoe.
Yeah, I think I might do the same, because I've had the previous version and this is the newer version, and it was the arches in the previous version that bothered me. So I used insoles, and kind
Yeah.
of ran one marathon and then, but yeah, I might just stitch them, to be honest.
I know it's frustrating, but it can be
Yeah.
a good idea. Like, at this stage, you put a lot of work in. So
Yeah.
great. Okay. And I had a question then. There was a good few questions in this. Predicted marathon time is slower than my last 2 marathons, and I feel fitter this year. It's hard to tell what pace I should aim for this year. My Garmin predicted time is just nonsense. I'll never be that fast. Yeah, true. However, it's indicating improved fitness as I've my records from the last 2 years to compare with. Plus, my VO2 watch on my watch has increased. Haven't said, oh, that's you, Monica. Okay. Finally, hoping to okay, I'll get to the last question just in 1 second. So, yeah, there's a lot of predictors out there. That why they're hard to judge is it kind of depends on the base that you're coming from. So if you're coming from like a kind of speed base, the drop off is going to be way harder. Okay, so like say with my like 5K background, I'm a much better like 1500 5K runner, 10K stretch, 10 miles. It would have me running off my like say 10K, 5K, 1500 meter time. I would be probably meant to be running like a 2:12 marathon or something, but I wouldn't run a 2:12 marathon. Because as I get exponentially higher, so putting all your times in is quite handy because it can work out. It can work out the differential splits. If you've done longer races, so like say Monica, for you, like I would go on like last year's pace or very slightly faster than that. Okay, like so even if it was me, I'd probably go for PB marathon pace. with the aim of, if we're halfway and we're feeling good, starting to pick it up. I think that would be fair. As you said, you've done marathons in the past. So I think for you to predict a time, like, look at like what the half marathon time was. I think, yeah, that's what I would do. I'd go at my PB marathon pace, and then with the goal of, like, you've run a PB over the half marathon really recently, so you have good speed in the legs. So like, if we get to halfway through that and we're feeling good, we'll just stick it. And if if we're feeling really good, we can just start to pick it up there. We still have 13 miles that we can start putting decent time into the bank, So someone else had done a 3/4. So what I would look at then is if they've also, so the question was, the other question was, yeah, there's predictor tools online, but I'm getting very different times in each. In the past 1 month, I've run a weekly 5K, several 10Ks, 3 half marathons, and a 30K. These are all race times and not training runs. So if you put them all into the calculator, it can give you a decent one. What I would look at is, what's the differential between your half marathon time and that 30K? Okay, so say a 3/4 marathon and a half marathon. So whatever the differential is, so say you were 6-minute Ks for the half, and you were 6:15 for the 3/4. I'd go up another 15 seconds and have a 6-minute 30. If you were like, if the differential was less than that, say it was like 5 seconds per K, well, then just go up 5 seconds per K for the marathon, because you're only adding in a third. So that can be probably a best way of looking at it, because as you're getting tired, it's showing like, what's the differential for you? Yeah. So if you're someone who is not that fast, but you're used to doing the longer distances, like that is, I think I'd be 5 to 10 seconds up per K on my 3/4 time. And how I'd judge that is looking at the half marathon time. What was the differential from half marathon to 3/4? And then just add that differential on from 3/4 to full, especially if you did them as races. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. What I'm trying to say is that if you're kind of more of a speed-based athlete, say if your 5Ks are really good and you put it into the calculators, take the calculation with a pinch of salt, like go a little bit like slower. If you're someone like your 5K to your 10K is not that huge a difference, and then your 10K to your half marathon is not that huge a difference, like it seems to be roughly like similar paces, just add on the equivalent onto that pace and it'll probably give you a good one, because you're probably able to go for a lot longer, but you mightn't have that like top end speed for like say a 5K. And that's why we always add in our 5K 10K stuff into a half marathon block, because we do want to get that turnover and we want to kind of get moving. Brilliant. All right, another question then, Monica's like, doing a long run with a friend. Her plan is 22 miles. Is this the equivalent of what's in my plan? So 245, which includes 3x3 miles at zone 3. Can she do that 20 mile? Would she do the session with you? Would she wouldn't do 3x3 miles in it? Monica, I don't know if you're still there. Look, you might listen back to this, Monica. Like that last question about the long run with a friend. Sorry, I was just asking about that last thing about the 22 miles. Would she do the workout with you?
Well, she did one almost identical last week, so I think she's keen to just do the 22 at kind of the steady 9-minute miles. So I'm not sure what to do really.
Could you do the first bit with her? Like, so is it an hour in and then you do the 3x3 miles?
Yeah, I could see. We tend to like to run together, just because it is a bit of a slog doing the really long run, especially.
No, it is a slog.
The last 10 miles is the hardest bit, really, so.
Yeah. What did you do last week? Sorry,
I did 20 miles.
Straight.
Yeah, straight, and I didn't stop at all. Like there's like 1 minute of stoppage really, and I incorporated a good bit of elevation into it as well, so I was happy enough with that one. But
what was your heart rate going?
Just
up to zone 2.
I think it went up to zone 3 just on the hill, but then the rest of it was lower. It came back down again. Obviously, went downhill. I think it was like 700 feet of elevation gain or something like that. It was up a big hill, kind of around the 11-mile mark. you know, but that was
Look,
20.
I'd be inclined to do the session that you're down for, because you've
Okay.
done like a kind of long like a
Yeah,
long
I see, yeah.
continuous one, but you're
Okay.
missing like a kind of,
Yeah,
it's
that's what I
just,
was worrying about.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
I would do, Monica, is I would do the first hour with her,
Okay.
or whatever it is like in it. Say like it should say it's like, say if it's the first hour, and then I do but I do 3 miles at zone 3. Then I think it's a mile easy, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Then like 3 miles zone 3, mile easy, 3 miles is zone 3. So that'd be 10 miles. And you might get it for the last mile, like the last 10 minutes. I know it's not a lot, but at least it's still like 70 minutes in there. And for you, it'll be okay because you'll have the first hour with her to kind of like distract you, and then
Yeah.
the session in itself it kind of breaks it up because it's an actual session, and then you can just cool down again. You can like just double back for her, or
Yeah, we could
whatever else.
potentially go do it in a park or something, somewhere where we're both running around, or something like
Yeah,
that. 'Cause
exactly. Or like, you'll be able to work out if she's doing 9 minute miles and you're down to like 8 minute miles. Like usually if you're doing, we have like a 10 mile loop around Kilkenny. If we were
okay.
doing that, we'd do the first bit together. We'd stay running in the same way. And on my last one, I might go a mile and a half this way, turn and go a mile and a half back.
Oh yeah, right enough. I could do that actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you're
Okay.
finishing right beside
Yeah.
each other. Or like if you go by her with half a mile, she can turn, and then you
Yeah.
can be just there. And at least, if it works out that way, at least you can be doing the last bit together.
That actually would work. We've a long tow path along the Lagan here, so that actually would work. The other query is, I'm doing it on Friday again, just weeks.
Yeah.
Can't do Saturday. So do I still do the Wednesday session? And it's very close, but I could
No,
take
I would,
Thursday off.
especially with her foot and stuff. I think like let's leave it off.
Okay.
Just
And I just do the zone 2 stuff again. I think that's what I did in
yeah,
the previous week. Just the reps at zone 2. I think it's 1 kilometer repeats. I think that's what it is at zone 3, 5, and then a break, and then another 5.
yeah. Just do zone. Don't go up to zone 3. Just do zone 2. It is a bit too close. And look,
Okay.
with the feet being a little bit sore, and look,
Yeah.
you've ran PBs in the half. I don't think we need to be pushing like that's a big session in itself. If it's the only session this week, it's not the end of the world at all.
Okay. Great. Okay. Perfect. Thanks, Million.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I wouldn't do. Yeah, I'd only do zone 2 maybe tomorrow,
Yeah.
and
Sure.
then on Friday do that main session.
You take Thursday off then, and
Take
then
Thursday off, yeah, and just
yeah.
go light on Saturday as well.
Yeah. No problem. Okay. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, taper advice on the Q&A would be appreciated. Okay, so if it depends on a big race, normally you want to look at a taper kind of 2 weeks out, okay, for a big race. And how the taper looks is if we start of 2 weeks out, the Monday can be similar. Tuesday can be a little bit lighter. So instead of maybe an hour, you do 45 minutes. So we say maybe do 3/4 of what you're doing with some strides after, like 4 by 10 seconds is very easy strides. Even though it's in a taper, 10 days out should be a kind of like session or workout that kind of triggers kind of stimulating the session. And for a marathon, we'll keep it a little bit shorter, but it'll be kind of like marathon pace. It'll be half marathon pace. It'll be one that like starts to kind of work. It'll be a little bit of a tester session. Okay, so something that's going to start to prime us up for the race that we're going to do. So 10 days out, we have our last kind of hard session. It won't be like our hardest session ever, Anthony, but it's just a kind of a decent session that's at kind of like our race pace, that kind of primer session. Especially for 5Ks, for marathons and stuff, we've been kind of hitting a lot of marathon work anyway. So we'll just do one last kind of marathon specific session. Let me just see what I've put in for most people. Sorry, I'm just going to have a quick check. And then we start to really come down after that. So that's the last kind of hard day. Then again, we're going to go 3/4 or a day off on the Thursday. We'll have our normal rest day. Sorry. Yeah, for the marathon, I have like 2 by 10 minutes at kind of marathon pace off 2 minutes. and then 5 by 60 seconds at 10k pace. Just a little bit of like kind of it's faster little turner to tire him out, and then 1 by 10 minutes again at zone 3. So you can see it's like decent chunky workout. So you might think like 2 weeks out or 10 days out we're doing really like nothing, but I actually, or super speed, I think we want to go way more dial it in towards the actual event. Okay, so that's what they're doing, like 2 by 10 minutes at like marathon pace, bit of quicker stuff like 5 by 60 seconds or 400 at 10k pace, and then 10 minutes again at marathon pace, just when they're a little bit tired. Then, should I bring that back up for people? Then like you're starting to cut down to about 3/4. Again, about 3/4 of your long run. So like say the end of week 2, we're only doing like say 12 miles. So again, we're not cutting it like completely, but it's still like kind of half what we'd be doing, or a little bit less than 3/4. Then the week that we're out, we're and I'm doing that on a Saturday, then we're just starting to go down again. So about 3/4, focus on a little bit more strides. The Wednesday, say before the Saturday, is just very easy. Again, I think people overly sprint or work on that stuff. Again, I just do it like maybe like 1 by 7 minutes or 2 by 7 minutes of AT, like zone 3, just something to keep the aerobic up, and then some kind of shorter strides, kind of like to get the legs turning. Or you might have something very specific, like 600 meters at like your 5k pace, or 3 by 400 meters at 5k pace if it's a 5k. It might be 3 by 600 meters at 10k pace. Just something to turn the legs a little bit. And then again, you might take an additional rest day. So we might take Thursday off. Friday, say the race is Sunday, Friday would be like 30. I like to take the day off before a race. Other lads like to do a run the day before. So you can either do it's 30 with like 4 by 10 seconds easy strides, and you either do it on the Friday, take off the Saturday, race the Sunday, or you go rest day on the Friday, do your 30 seconds and 4 by 10 second strides on the Saturday, and then race the Sunday. Also, I would do the last workout on the Tuesday rather than on a Wednesday on the last week. Okay, so just to recap that, it's a 2-week taper. You're going about 3/4 the distance in your runs for 2 weeks out. 10 days out is a hard session though. So you kind of should have like the Monday should be a bit easier. The Tuesday should be a bit easier. The Wednesday is going to be like an actual like primer type session. The last kind of neuromuscular like hit. Thursday could be like a rest day then. Friday could be about like half what you normally do, or 3/4 if you wanted. Saturday is going to be an easy session. Sunday is going to be like half your long run. Then the next Monday, you're again 3/4 of what you'd normally do. Tuesday, you're going to have your last workout. That's just going to be a bit aerobic and a very small bit like at race pace, and maybe a few little strides after, just to get the legs turning. And then you're on easy street. Wednesday, you're going to go maybe 3/4 or half of what you've done. Thursday will be off, or you might go Wednesday off, Thursday run, Friday 30 minutes with some strides, Saturday off, Sunday race. That's for a big race. Okay, like otherwise I'd always do, no matter what the race, I'd probably be doing something decent 10 days out, and I might keep the volume a little bit higher. I might just do a normal week. 2 weeks out might be just normal with that hard session, and then I'll cut to 3/4 for the easy week. Regardless if the session, unless you're doing 5Ks park runs every week, which isn't a good idea. If there's a race in your week, you should taper for that race. Taper doesn't have to be massive, but the hardest thing in the week should be the race. Okay, so any race I'm doing from at least the Wednesday out, I'm having an easier workout or session on the Wednesday, and I'm taking like the Thursday easy, the Friday easy, the Saturday easy, and then I'm racing on a Sunday. Or I would work out on the Tuesday and even take the rest of the week easier. So I have a bit of a build in, and then you have your hard race on the Saturday or Sunday. Because like if the race goes well, that's a great stimulus for if the race goes well, that's a great stimulus for your training. And like, we're kind of in it to race. So even if it's not my like a race, the marathon is like the only one that I would be different in that. And the reason I'd be different in that is a lot of times we're having to ramp our mileage, so we can't really afford to taper down the mileage that much to get ready for races. But if you're racing 5Ks or 10Ks, especially if you're doing a race, even if it's not a big race, you should be tapering down for it. Because, you know, yeah, like the race itself is going to be a really good stimulus. And then on top of that, then it's the yeah, it's a good chance for a blowout. And then we're in a 2 race. So, you know, don't want to be going into races fully loaded all the time. Okay, someone had a question then about their Achilles. They rugby referee matches, and they were able to run on it. But said it was sore. Okay, my physio is on holidays, but last time he said when it's not injured, but not to run on it when it was sore. I would agree with that. So there's usually like 4 things when Laurie's here. We always go through them. So first one is it making you limp? Is it like acutely sore? Is it like actually kind of a sharp sore that you can feel when you're running? And it feels like it is that, so I wouldn't run. Is it worse the next day? And does it swell? They're the 4 things. Any of those are a yes, you shouldn't be running on it. What I would also do is, yeah, I wouldn't do any really like active Achilles work because it's like just the acute stage. What I would do is I would do loads of single leg deadlift, holding for like 10 seconds. That'll really get the foot burning. That'll get the whole back of the leg burning, and I think will really help. And then I would get one of those gel heel inserts and put them into your rugby boots, because it could be that like you're used to having a bit of a heel when you're running, and now you're on like a flat boot, and that's just putting a bit too much stretch on the Achilles. That sounds like what it was. And it's causing the issue. Okay, next question. I hope that helps then. I developed a hamstring tendinopathy in the last few days, and I'm due to run Chicago Sunday week, and wondering how best to treat it at this late stage. Did 13 miles on Saturday and glute felt tight and was pulling on the hamstring. I've been using the hockey ball and following the rehab videos. Good. I did week 5 Pilates yesterday morning with no issue and did an hour on the bike. However, I tried running this morning and did dynamic leg warm up with no issue. But as soon as I started to run, I felt pain close to the sit bone, so stopped. Yeah, good idea. Do I try running in a few days, or just keep on the bike? Does applying ice or heat help? Not really. I booked it. Yeah, can't go in. So they booked in for a sports massage, which is a good idea. I think that'll be good. Stay using the hockey ball, doing the hip one and doing the hamstring one to release off. Stay doing the rehab. It's not causing any pain. Bike is not a brilliant one because you're sitting on it, so it's kind of compressing it. Oh, the timing of that is terrible. Let's see what the guy for the sports massage says. I think I would not run. I would cycle, or I do the cross trainer and see if that like doesn't catch it as much for like a few days, maybe till like Saturday. And then I would try it Saturday or Sunday, and I would just be going like no like swings or anything like that, just easy jogging for the first ones, like even like 30 minutes on Saturday, and just see how it reacts to that. 30 minutes Sunday, and then just go into it. If you can go into it with just like your 30-minute runs, and maybe on the Wednesday beforehand try like 7 minutes of zone 3 running, and just let me know how that goes, and we can chat about it then. Just send me like a private message and we'll discuss it. All right, the other ones was like predicting that race timing. Q&A, good. Okay, someone just asked, I have a lactic test tomorrow. What would I expect? Is it a lot different than a VO2 max stress test? Do you treat it like a race? Okay, one, you won't have to treat it like a race because like basically like they just increased the treadmill. So you will treat it like a race in terms of like you'll run until you can't run. The thing with the VO2 max, you got to go to exhaustion because they want to make sure they have exactly how much like oxygen you're using. With a lactic, once it starts to get like over about 8 or 9 out of 10, when your lactic spikes, you'll definitely be able to do another one. Now, 2 ways they do it, right? You can just stop the test then. So it's not like if you're not like digging in, you're not going to get the results. So they're just gradually going to increase the pace. So it's like uncomfortable, but not crazy uncomfortable. And it's uncomfortable, not crazy uncomfortable. So like, and they'll tell you like, yeah, you're over like your 4 millimoles, or there was a spike. And that will then indicate that we'll be able to work out the results. They'll send me the results and I'll see that. Sometimes people get people just to do a hard one at the end, just to see like how high they can put their lactic at the end. Usually people are warmed up, they're like, you know what, I'll just give it a crack and see anyway. So you can treat it like a race though. Yeah, treat it like a good session. You won't have, it won't be like you'll have to dig in, because it'll just increase in the pace on the treadmill, so it does do it naturally, and you'll jump off. Yeah, but it's not as hard as the VO2 max. The VO2 max, they're really trying to rinse you because they want to make sure that they get the oxygen. It's a bit easier than that. Even the hard one they do, if you needed, you'd be able to go even harder, generally. But yeah, it's a treadmill test. It'll be 3 to 6 minutes. You'll be hopping off. They'll just take a tiny little piece of blood. They'll ask you, how are you feeling out of 10? You'll be like 4 out of 10. They'll take what your heart rate is. You'll get back on. They'll increase the pace. You'll be breathing heavier. And then afterwards, we'll have like your RPE, your heart rate, and your lactics. They'll send me the results. I'll analyze them. And then I'll send you a video, whoever this is. I'll send you a video and I'll be able to explain your results and how the whole thing worked. It's much easier when I'm actually just doing it in there. Brilliant. That's not... James, you've done a test already, haven't you, I think? Okay. Brilliant. Okay, guys, thanks a million. They were actually great questions. Really happy with that. So any other questions, have it in. If you want to post comments on YouTube or Spotify, I can answer any questions that you have in there either. And yeah, thanks a million, guys. Thanks, and see you later.